Hey guys, it's Nicole. Today we are going to do a video about carb cycling. What is it and how can you do it at home? So to start off, carb cycling is something that's used by a lot of bikini competitors and fitness models. I think it's something that is really overlooked and something that's really going to blast your fat. So if you're interested in learning the key tips on how to carb cycle, keep watching. So carb cycling is pretty much a way to balance your hormones and speed up fat loss. To do this, the idea of carb cycling is that you manipulate the amount of carbs that you're eating and the amount of fat you're eating and when you're eating them throughout the week. So I'm going to make this as simple as possible so you can do this at home on your own and feel confident about doing it. So to start, carbs have a huge relationship with your hormone levels, with your insulin resistance, your thyroid, your leptin levels, and most importantly, your metabolism. So just know that carb cycling does take a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, and it's kind of time consuming. But if you can get past that, it is unbelievable. It's like a magic pill. So this isn't something that you can do for 2, 3, 4 days and see immediate results. This is something that you have to do for at least 2 to 3 weeks to start to see results. But when the results start, it's really rapid. So let's get into the science behind carb cycling. Our bodies use carbs as fuel. That's the main source because it's the easiest macro that we can convert into energy. The idea behind carb cycling is that we slowly teach our body to look to our fat stores instead of our carbs to use as energy. When we get to this and we're burning fat for fuel instead of carbs, it's called a ketogenic state. So now you're probably thinking, why wouldn't I just eat low carb all the time if it works? Problem with that is your body slowly starts to adapt to low carb. So it starts to plateau. So the idea behind carb cycling is to never hit that plateau. As your body adapts to those lower amount of carbs, you continue to have to eat lower and lower and lower amount of carbs to continue to see progress. The problem with that is our bodies have to have carbs to function properly anyway. And so eventually you would be eating no carbs all the time, and even then you would eventually plateau. So the idea is to go from low carb to high carb to low carb to high carb, to trick our body into thinking that it's low carb all the time without going into that plateau stage. At this point, when people start to stop seeing results, that's normally when they say, well, low carb diets obviously don't work. They do, but you have to do it correctly. You have to do it for a certain amount of time, and it has to be very thought out and very planned, and you can't just eat low carb all the time. The idea is that we have to monitor and manipulate the amount of carbs that we eat throughout the week, and low carb diets do work. Okay, so here, you can hardly see that. Here is my very poorly drawn body, okay? This is my glycogen, can you see that here? This is my glycogen tank, okay? So this is how many carbs I'm eating. So here we go, we'll start with this. This right here is a low carb day. So my glycogen levels are pretty low. My body is first going to turn to this as fuel, and we're going to burn this first. After it goes through this and our little tank right here is empty, it's going to go over here and it's going to start eating the fat for fuel instead. So that's our low carb day. The next day on our high carb day, we're going to go ahead and eat tons and tons of carbs, and we're going to fill our glycogen stores all the way up. That's beautiful. And our bodies are going to be able to last on this all day, and it's going to be able to burn through this all day. The other point that I want to make is that you do not have 2 high carb days in a row. So the idea behind that is, let's say that this is our first high carb day. Our body burns through some of this. Let's say that we've got about a half tank starting the next day. Okay. If we have another high carb day, we're gonna fill it up at the top, and then it's gonna spill over like that, and it's just gonna add to our fat stores. And so that is completely the opposite of what we're looking to do with carb cycling. So do not have 2 high carb days in a row. So on a high carb day, it is best to have your hardest workouts on those days. During your high carb days, think about doing either your longer high intensity interval training day, or you plan on going hiking all day, or you plan on being just super active all day, just think about being active on your high carb day. You're gonna have tons of energy and you're gonna be able to burn through those carb stores faster. The other thing to mention is on your low carb days, it's best to have your rest days or very light exercise. And when I say light exercise, I'm talking either walking or just very light jogging for a short amount of time, because you are going to be exhausted and more than likely you're going to be a little bit more hungry than your other days. The idea behind that is your stomach is going to be a little bit stretched out from your medium and high carb days, and because our low carb days are also low calorie, stomach on our high carb days like this, and it gets all the way full and it stretches out on our high carb day. Well, the next day we have a low carb day. Our stomach is still this big, but we're only filling it halfway with food, and so we're a little bit more hungry. And when we do that, our stomach will slowly start to shrink. We're still going to be hungry that day though. The next day on our high carb day, our stomachs are going to be a little bit smaller because we didn't eat quite as much the day before. So on our high carb day, we're going to have to stretch back out a little bit. We're going to have to pack full. So we're going to be really full on our high carb days, and we're going to be a little bit hungry on our low carb days. So that's good to keep in mind for people like me who get really hangry. It's best to do very light exercise and do it on a non-stress day if you can plan that kind of thing. So let's talk about how to integrate this into your everyday life. I'm going to use myself as an example because I know my own macro numbers. I want to take a second and stress the idea about macros and that everyone's macro count is different. So even if you think that me and you might be the same height, the same weight, the same build, the same activity level, whatever you think that we're the same, we're probably not. So if you're looking to get your macro count, make sure it's accurate and to you, not based on what I'm about to show you. So here is my little chart. Cue the visual learner. This is my chart. I hope you can see it. I hope it's not backwards. Okay, so the idea is that my calories are over here, and these are my days of the week. So here on Monday, we're going to have a low carb day. And on our low carb days, it's low calorie. On our high carb days, it's high calorie. And on our moderate days, it's moderate calorie. So here's my low carb day. On this day, I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. On my moderate day on Tuesday, we're going to eat 1,650 calories. My higher carb day, I eat 2,115 calories, and so on. So Thursday is a low carb day, Friday is a high carb day, Saturday is a high carb day, or a low carb day, and Sunday is a high carb day because Sunday is fun day. So with that, how I got those numbers. What I eat on my macro count, remember yours is going to be different, make sure you find out what yours is. My average is 1,600 calories a day, which equals out to 11,200 calories a week. So if you were to add up all of my calories for all of my days, it would equal 11,200 calories. So here is my low carb day, which is Monday. Our proteins are on the bottom. You're supposed to eat roughly about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I actually eat more than that because I really like protein and it fills me up faster and it fills me up for longer. So I eat about 145 grams of protein a day. So that's going to be constant and consistent for your entire week. Somewhat similarly, your fat intake is going to be the same also. On my low carb days, I eat more fat because I'm going to be hungry because I'm not eating as much. But on my high carb days, I'm eating less fat. So my low carb day, I eat about 60 grams of fat. On my low carb days, I'm eating about 45 grams of fat. So then whatever is left over, see this? Those are your carbs. It's how many grams of carbs you're going to eat. So for a low carb day, I'm eating 30 grams of carbs, and let me tell you, that is nothing. On my moderate carb days, I'm eating 135 grams of carbs, which I'm happy with, that's fine. And then on my high carb days, I'm eating 282 grams of carbs, which is a lot. It's a lot, and I'm very full, and it's actually a struggle. So this is an idea of what your chart could look like. Make sure I post another picture so you guys can take a look at it. But remember, don't follow this because this isn't to your macro count. This is just an idea. I'm watching you. So this is what it could potentially look like. So for anyone who's new to this, I didn't really explain like how to figure out how many grams you're eating when you're eating something. All your macros are going to be on the back of whatever box you're eating. If it's a raw food and it doesn't have a box, you can always go into Google. I really like MyFitnessPal. You just put in whatever you're eating and how much of it you're eating, and it will tell you exactly what the macro count is. So I know that for one egg, that's like 80 calories, it's 5 grams of fat, it's no carbs, and it's about 10 to 7 grams of protein. So when you're doing this, you have to really plan out what you're going to be eating to match those macros. It's just really hard on low carb days because everything has carbs. So on my low carb days, I get all of my carbs through green vegetables and I guess kind of like yogurt or whatever else I'm eating, but I don't even try to play around with fruit because fruit is pretty much all carbs. So for everyone eating tons of fruit who thinks fruit is super healthy, it is. It's got tons of nutrients and tons of vitamins, but it has tons of carbs. So if you are insulin resistant and you are eating tons of fruit, you should cut down on the fruit and pick up some green vegetables. The other thing is that carb cycling is kind of more of a mind game. For me, it's really hard because I know that my body does not react well to carbs. So on my high carb days, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to gain all this weight. This is way too many carbs. I shouldn't be eating this. But if you can get through that, I promise it works. For some of you, on your low carb days, we're eating more fat. And so you might be thinking, oh my gosh, well, I'm eating all this fat and it's going to make me fat. With fat, that's not how fat works. Fat doesn't solidify as you eat it. It doesn't just go to your gut and turn into fat. So keep that in mind. Our bodies metabolize it different. It doesn't just get stored. So if all of this still sounds a little bit confusing and you still don't know how to start and you don't know how to get your macro count and you don't know what you should be eating on what days for your meal plans, just know that this is what I do in all of my meal plans that I make for all of my clients. So if you don't want to do it, I can always do it for you. Also, so you can actually have like an inside look to what carb cycling looks like, aka what foods to eat. I am doing a 7-day insider look at what I'm doing to carb cycle. I'm going to be following this guide and I will be able to show you every day exactly what I'm eating and how I'm feeling that day. So look forward to my vlog about the 7 days of carb cycling. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at this and at this, or follow my Facebook page at this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. Here's my email. And thanks for watching.